Oh, we have to follow the process of picking things in the
Oh, wow.
in the spreadsheet.
We haven't done that in ages, but yes, happy to.
Yeah, we can just continue, I think.
I'll share screen. I have some of that stuff around. So is it that one or is it?
It's that spreadsheet. The we changed things right at the end of the last time we did this, which is we're focusing on specifically on modeling, argumentation modeling. And the quote unquote requirements are meant to be situations of arguments, of argumentation.
Yeah, like examples that we want to be able to express.
Exactly, yeah.
So we can take
the
is it this
proposed
sheet or is it another sheet?
It's that sheet. We
this one, yes.
Yeah. And so we want, maybe we need to add an example column.
Yeah, we have a description that has been doing that. I think the example needs to be, in fact, before the, either before the status or right after the status. It would be where the description is, maybe, because it's.
I would put it after the description, maybe.
Or just rename the
We
description.
want it as well. Here's the thing: is we kind of want it as part of the main thing we're going to look at when choosing the use case, right?
Okay.
So
well,
it could even be the use case itself is the argument, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and so the process now is coming up with examples for each of these, for those that are.
We don't have to do for the completed ones. We don't have to do. Let's go for the proposed ones, and then come up with examples for the proposed, and then we can actually choose one. Right? A claim that is created in support of another claim can be identified as supporting the relevance of that claim. So what we want is an argument that supports the relevance as opposed to the truth or validity of
relevance to what? Sorry, this is not clear to me. Jamie's not there.
One example would be essentially saying that an argument is an informal fallacy, right? So that's an appeal to authority. That would be an argument against what she would consider and I would consider an argument. Well, in this case, it's supporting the relevance as opposed to opposing the relevance. Supporting relevance is harder than opposing, but we could do that.
I'm just a bit, I don't know if you understand my discomfort. I
understand because we've had conversations about this the past couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, I expect to see 3 claims here when we speak about supporting the relevance. Like we can speak about the relevance of A to B, and we can speak about supporting the relevance of A to B, so C supporting the relevance of A to B, but supporting the relevance of A without speaking about B strikes me as weird.
No, you're correct. There must be 3 claims.
And that's why I'm asking relevance to what? Right. To another claim, or to an argument.
Right. Let me see if I could come up with a good example.
Let's. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll do the same. The total number of hurricanes in 2020 is relevant to the claim that the number of hurricanes has been rising in the recent years.
Say that again.
Okay, so the target claim here is the total number of hurricanes has been rising in recent years. And the count of hurricanes in year 2020 is a relevant data point in that argument, or I could have the more limited in scope. There's been more hurricanes in 2020 than 2019. So that's relevant to that broader, more generic argument.
Okay, I think I have a construction that would work for this, which would be, the problem is you're using a more than claim, which we know has a complicated structure.
Yes,
but
fair enough.
Yeah, you could say here, let's do something simple, which is the top claim, as you're saying, is there are more hurricanes in 2020 than in 2019.
Yeah.
That's the claim we're trying to prove, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The argument in support of that claim is I don't know what you call the Department of Weather, the official department that does
NOAA,
this.
Probably.
Huh?
It's probably NOAA.
Okay. So say, yeah, NOAA reports there were 100 in 2019 and 200 in 2020, right? So that is the argument in support of the top claim. Go ahead and write this down.
I'm just looking. I'm trying to be
National Weather Administration. I don't know what. Yeah.
National Weather Service, maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that much. It doesn't have to be like our arguments don't have to be correct.
It is NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I was looking. Okay, so good. No, I sorry, I'm being anal, but
okay.
NOAA's hurricane count for 2019 is X, for 2020 is Y greater than X. You suppose those are
but you need, so we already need sort of a modeling language for examples, right? Okay, you're doing it that way. Supports the number of okay.
Oh no. Oh,
that's
yes.
fine. That's fine. That works. Now, the argument in support of relevance here is the argument that NOAA is the official organization for counting hurricanes or something like that.
Yeah, okay. So that would be it.
Supports relevance of 1 to 2, yes.
Okay, so this is only about supporting relevance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Let's come up with examples for others rather than just trying to model this. I think it's good if we focus on practicing modeling these things.
Yeah. I've been playing with notation. I think I showed you this. Let me just get that. Is that no, not this one, not this one. Give me a second.
I mean, as mentioned last time, the notation is basically the model, right?
Yeah. This was my attempt to say, this is a claim, but then I have entities as named ranges within it, and then I can make these kind of more symbolic things. But that's, as you said, Felix's notation. But this is good enough.
No, I mean, like the other way around. Like by having a great notation, we basically solve the problem of how things are stored in the database. Because it's isomorphic to the model.
I don't think it is. But that's a separate conversation. Let's keep writing examples and we'll have that conversation because I think it's an important conversation. A claim that is created in support of another claim can be identified as supporting the truth of that claim. So even, okay, so basically if we take the previous example, it's still relevant. It's saying that basically one being true supports two being true. Above is not, we may reorder things, so that's perfectly useless.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we should have little named example families, like and say, here's a little example family of example claims, and this is, give it a number so we can point to it in a few use cases.
Or you just copy it over. Because then you don't have, as a human, you don't have to jump around.
That's a good point. Oops. A claim, okay, next one. A claim that is created in the position of another claim can be identified as opposing the relevance of that claim's position orientation in the debate. That is actually a hard disagree for me.
Yeah, because it talks about, it's sort of explicitly saying, well, it's not explicitly saying how you're going to model it.
No, it's not that. It's about, this may not be true. Like I could say okay, let's keep with the same example because it's working well for us. The 1, 2, 3 above.
Mm-hmm.
There's specific value of X, specific value of Y, and then somebody comes and says, you know what? Actually, Noah said a different X and a different Y, and here's the reference. So I'm opposing the initial one. I'm not opposing its relevance. It's still perfectly relevant. It's just false. That's very different. Saying it's false versus it's irrelevant.
Wait, I'm not sure I understand this. A claim that is created in opposition of another claim, so in other words, an opposing argument, can be identified as opposing the relevance of that claim's position or orientation in the debate. Yeah, yeah. We don't have a definition for debate is the first problem I have with that requirement. We would have to insert, we'd have to first come up with a definition for debate. And what I think this is really ends up being, I mean, well, it's the opposite of the first one. And I didn't have a problem with the first one because I just kind of knew what it was trying to say and I didn't read too much into the words. But this is the opposite. This is the opposing. Okay, now I understand. This is just an argument that opposes the relevance, and this can be any logical fallacy.
Well, what I'm saying is there's two cases and they're distinct, and this formulation confuses them both, and hence my hard disagree. We can say A supports B, and again, let's stick to the same example. hurricane count is this, or and somebody can disagree with, no, this is not actually relevant because it's, for example, just the US and we want a global thing, blah, blah, blah. I think it still makes it relevant, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I could say it's a non sequitur. It would be false, but I could say it's a non sequitur and I'm opposing the relevance. Or I can be opposing the truth of claim 1. And if I'm opposing the claim, I'm not opposing its relevance, I'm opposing its truth. It's very different.
Right, but here the specific case is saying opposing the relevance.
No, but it's also saying creating an opposition of another claim. So that sounds like opposing the truth. And so I'm saying it's kind of conflating two things here. That should be distinct.
Well, if you want to, I mean, James is not here to tell us what she meant, so we can create a new one that is what we understand, which is exactly how canonical debate is supposed to work. But anyway, yeah, we can create a new one, which is, gets
actually,
rid of
guess what? The other one is just below.
Yeah, but that's just opposing the truth, right?
Yeah.
One is the truth and one is the relevance. I understand.
It's creating the position of another claims. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to change it, but okay. Yeah, let's make it another one indeed.
Yeah, just applicate it.
Yeah. Claim that is a claim can oppose the. Sorry, I want variables. A claim A can oppose the relevance of claim B to claim C. There was a cold spell in central US in 2017, was it? Or 18? Undermines to is global warming, but 3 local extreme events in either direction not cancel a global trend. So that would be
that works. Mm-hmm. That works for me.
Relevance of 1 to 2. Actually,
maybe you use parentheses and name the basically the tuple.
okay.
Okay.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to the other one. Okay, simple opposition, right? So what's a good one?
Well, okay, so it doesn't have to be a good argument, but
yeah, it can be actually the previous one can work, right? Even if it's invalid.
Yeah, the number of hurricanes has been rising is opposed by I only counted 10 hurricanes in 2020 or something. It could be.
Actually, let's be a bit more complete and say they went down last year. Or in my observation.
Yeah, I mean that's a bad argument. Yeah, okay, in my observation that works. Yeah.
They went down between actually 2019. Again, probably not true, but or it could even be true and it wouldn't matter. And then this is interesting because the like a more complex argument would be, for example, you know, there's been this continuing rise of temperature, but actually there was a dip here. Oh, but it was a La Nina event. And so we have a local counter-cyclical effect as opposed to the global trend. And so I'm not denying that this is a good example of relevance, right? And actually, maybe I want to
let's not complicate examples. It's
interesting
and
it's another example, and it's no, it's a similar example because I'm not denying the truth of the cold spell. I'm not denying the truth of the local thing.
Right. We would want more examples if they're going to make, you know, have an influence on the model.
Yep, I agree. No, in this case, it's the same generic type.
I mean, you might bring it up if you start wanting to introduce different models of.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess here it's the difference between a temporally local trend versus a spatially local trend, which I'm not getting there yet.
Right.
I'll just put a note here. Is there a note field? No, I'll just put.
You can even put it as a comment on the example.
Exactly what I'm trying to remember how to do. Insertion here. I suspect this. The below here is ambiguous, but hopefully it will resolve the comment before moving things around. The user wants to be able to see the negation for any claim in the system, even when it was not defined. No, I don't think this is the kind of examples we're doing.
That's a usability or user interface thing. It's yeah.
Yeah.
So mark that one as you can mark
I'm
it as
skipping
either
for now.
Just change the status to declared there then.
It's fair enough.
But like C in the negation means like it could exist explicitly or implicitly, right?
Right, but either way, this is not about modeling arguments.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to unpropose something that, you know, Stephen, who's not there, has proposed. One thing that is
mark it as declared. It's we're allowed to move things around in the process because declared means we're just not considering it as the next thing to do. You can always propose it again, but
okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that Stephen was very much insisting we do, and I think I agree with him, is let's try to reformulate this more in use cases, and there we'll realize, and I think again it's about bounded domains here. We're looking at you know, very basic claims created in support, claims created to oppose. There's some stuff that is more usability and human operation level. There's some that is at the modeling level. That is what we're doing now. Well, not data modeling, but argument modeling. There's the whole. Anyway, there's a lot that is happening here that is mixed.
Right, but what we agreed, the change to the process is any of those things that are not specifically argument modeling actually should be moved to process. There's a process tab now, right?
No, that's true.
We just move it out of the way and don't do it.
Okay. Well, yes. It's a separate scope. I'm just objecting to the don't do it, but it's
No, that's
treated as
yeah.
a
No, I don't mean. I mean, don't do it right now in this current
Yep.
phase of the process. Yes.
Fair enough. That's cool. So are there things, actually, maybe that's a thing to do. Are there things that belong in the process? Maybe we should go through things and decide, is this process?
Nothing that is completed. Anything that's completed, just leave it there. Don't touch it. When we come across those things, you can move them, like the one that was that we just saw with Stevens.
And I must say, my problem with this is I've always been kind of convinced that everything that is being labeled as process ends up sometimes becoming a solidified argument. I don't believe in process as a separate category. I believe process exists, of course, but
but you can rephrase it, or you can propose the argument form of that, and we can do it. If that's the case, that's fine.
Yeah,
we can do it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to think, what would I move to process in there? And nothing comes to mind, or everything is what I'm saying. It's either all goes in both or none goes in both.
Well, okay, the one a user sees always sees the negation or whatever. I wouldn't even say it's process. I would just say it's not argument modeling. So move it out of here for now, and we'll take it up at a later date.
Okay, which one was it? The user should.
I don't know. 23 is one.
Yeah, that was the one.
22 is also like these are. I would actually kind of call them user interface, but it's not important to. Yeah, process to me is really the not right now tab. So
is that process?
22.
Oh yeah, 22 is totally processed there. I agree totally. But
let's see, what is 20? 22 claims are neither equivalent nor
28
negation.
is process, I think.
20 is process.
I'm doing 28 first.
Okay, that's fine.
And 20.
So you can come up with, here's the thing. You can't construct an argument. You can construct the statement. Those two aren't equivalent, nor are they a negation. You can come up with that as a statement, but that's not an argument. In other words, it's a meta activity to the debate, right?
No, it's about removing undefinedness.
Yeah, it can be an argument. This is where I'm saying
right. But it's an argument to the claim. Those two things are neither equivalent nor negations of one another. It is actually just a claim, right? In terms of modeling it, and we don't need a user can make a claim, right? We already have that.
No, but we don't need it. But this was like a user can be a transparent prefix to all of these, right? I mean, there's
right. But what I'm saying is that
and what I'm saying is don't rely on the user, the word user being there as indicating process.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that this lies in the domain, as Stephen will put it, as restructuring or refactoring or reorganizing. In other words, curating the debate. It's not about argument mapping.
And that's what I'm not totally sure of. Like when it's true that most examples, it's easier for me to think of examples with not equivalent. Like I could say, you know, A causes B and A causes C. Oh, but you've shifted the meaning of A. The A in your first case is not the same A as in your second case, even if though they're formulated the same. So that's a not equivalent that can be used as an argument in real life. It's not just curation, it's an argument. And
so what would you call that? Say that again. A causes B, B causes C.
No, A causes B, A causes C. Oh, but you're not using the same A. A is formulated the same, but it's okay. Let me try to think of an example.
Right, but I would say that that argument that you're saying is an argument against relevance. Let me take an absurd example, right?
Not necessarily.
Paris is the capital of tourism, right? I'm trying to find, I have to research something. Like Paris is the capital of tourism. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Where is it?
But isn't it just about saying, okay, these two things, when I'm saying these two things are not equivalent, I have more information than not saying anything. Because they could be equivalent.
No, absolutely, that's true. But I'm saying it's also
okay. Well, here's the example. I'm gonna make up numbers because I don't. It doesn't matter. But I say, you know, Paris is the capital of tourism, the world capital of tourism, and somebody else says Paris opposes it by saying Paris only receives 20,000 visitors a year. Okay, and somebody argues against that construction by saying you're talking about Paris, Texas, not Paris, France. Okay, is that match more or less what you were thinking of? I would say that is an argument against the relevance of the argument that Paris only receives 20,000 visitors a year, because you're saying what you just said is totally irrelevant because you're talking about something different.
Okay, interesting. But I'm not, that's perfectly correct and it's perfectly valid. I don't think it's what I was speaking about when I came up with that sentence. But it's true that most of my equivalents end up being entities. Okay, let me try to come up with one. Okay. CO2 causes global warming. Greenhouse gases causes global warming. They're not equivalent because greenhouse gas is a broader category than CO2. They're two distinct claims. They're also not negating one another. They're distinct. Now, what There's no relevance there. I'm just speaking about two claims. Why would that be an argument? Is that if somebody, suppose, said CO2 is not a problem for global warming because, and somehow shows that CO2 is not an issue, I would say, okay, you've done the proof for CO2, but it's not the same as saying all greenhouse gases, because we are still speaking about methane. The CO2
That to me is still relevance. It's the same structure. It goes to what I was saying about either aim versus impact. What you're doing in that case is maybe diminishing the impact of that argument because it's only about one of the greenhouse gases as opposed to all, right?
Point. But I'm saying the first part of the argument is saying the two claims are neither equivalent nor negation. Okay, and then I guess I did what you asked me for, is to put them in a relevance, in an argument format, and then you were right. As an argument, they end up being about relevance. Okay, I'm buying that. I'm buying that. But what I'm saying is it is declaring the non-equivalence of the two claims can be part of an argument. And I agree at that point, it becomes a relevance
I agree with
argument.
that, but what structure is that? To me, that's a claim. It's just you're making a claim that those two things are different.
Yeah.
And the reason.
And it can be used as part of a relevance argument. Fair enough.
Right. And like I see that there's an intention here that goes beyond that. In number 20, there's an intention here that goes beyond it, but I would say it goes beyond it in the meta structure sense or the curation sense of saying, because they've declared these things, it will have an impact on how you can structure further.
What I'm saying is a lot of those so-called curation structures end up being arguments in the argument structure. That's my base claim, which I haven't seen refuted yet. The fact that it's done through relevance in this case is absolutely interesting, but it doesn't. My point that all curation ends up being argument stands so far.
Right. I get that. But yeah, so the point is either 20, and I would say in the context of argument modeling, 20 doesn't add anything. In the sense of process, 20 does add something.
No, I'm saying it's part of argument modeling because it can be used as an argument. It's something I may use as part of an argument.
Okay, but do we need to deal with it? Because
yes, because it can be used as part of an argument. It's useful for arguments. It's relevant to arguments.
No, but okay, then I'm going to add that also a user can claim that their dog is blue. It doesn't add anything to our structure. It doesn't.
No, but Tim, you're basically saying, okay, what this expresses can also be expressed as a text and inserted into a system as a claim. That's what you're saying, right? And that's why it hasn't to be modeled explicitly.
Okay. Right.
Okay, but then that means this textual claim is not connected in the system with these two other claims.
It would be connected if it were used as an argument. If it's not connected, it's a standalone claim that you could then debate.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I understand.
Our current model structure,
if it's used as an argument, it can be connected to that claim where it's used as an argument, but it's referring to two other claims which are not linked in the system. They're just referred to via text, right?
They're related. Like Tim wants to model that through a relevance argument without digging into the structure of the argument. And why
no, Felix has a good point there.
Yeah.
Which maybe then this example muddies the water a bit. Something
I'm
that
saying
might
they all
affect
muddy the water
our,
eventually.
sure. Well, in my head, it muddies the water, which is examples of claims referring to other claims. That's important for modeling. Because, for example, any argument automatically refers to another claim because that other claims its conclusion. But there's another case of a claim referring to another claim that we should capture. And I would maybe want to make it more simple and explicit. If we can come up with a better example, like the construction, the fact that something is true means something else. This is kind of the chain of logic constructions of what I've been calling multi-premise. If A, then B, then C, or whatever, is an example where I've seen you want to refer to another claim.
Okay, it's clear to me that claims about claims are kind of essential. We cannot go very far without metaclaims. Any irrelevance argument is a metaclaim at a certain level, right? And yeah, the question is claim distinction or entity distinctions. For me, they exist, they're relevant, they're useful. The question is, can you do as well? And I think that's what you're arguing, just treating them as opaque black box claims that happen to have relevance to their containing claim? Or is it useful to model the claim reference structure in such metaclaims, which I, of course, argue myself? So that's one question.
Okay, let's simplify.
I wanted to go one step back as well. Like my argument for like referring to claims in text was just like for this specific example that the non-equivalence of two claims is used as an argument. But I think we can go one step back and look at, okay, is the non-equivalent edge in a graph between two claims, is it useful or not? Because if there's no edge between two claim nodes, what does it mean? If we don't agree on that, then we cannot discuss about the other thing. If you think that it means non-equivalence, then we don't need that edge. But if you think it means it's undefined, then the edge is useful.
Right.
Well, for one thing, I would say that the absence of an edge implies they are not the same. But that, I would like to throw in then the meta arguments. But to simplify, it would be that, well,
so Tim, for you, it's clear that the absence of an edge means non-equivalence?
Yes.
Okay, that's why it makes sense to you that the non-equivalence edge is redundant, basically, right?
I wouldn't say that it's redundant. It could be put there if you want to dispute it, but Yeah, I do think it's redundant actually, but this is a whole thought process we went through a while ago, and I don't remember it, because to me, and this is a process thing, sort of. You would want to state that two are equivalent, and then somebody would want to oppose that because they're by default not equivalent. And I know that Marc-Antoine didn't agree with that. He thought it would be good to get ahead of that situation. And I would say you can get ahead of it by go ahead and saying they're equivalent and then defeating that. But yeah.
Yes, but no, of course. But like, it will make, I can certainly argue that I think this will make the system unmanageable because it makes all kinds of wrong assumptions that have to be defeated one by one. It's better to start with not making wrong assumptions and assuming.
Yeah, no, that's not true though. People straw man all the time, and you want to when an individual is mapping a debate, they often want to immediately defeat common misheld conceptions. So you put it out there, the misconception, and then you defeat it.
No. 1 second. If you're saying everything's equivalent unless declared otherwise,
everything is not equivalent.
Okay.
Declared.
Okay, that's already better. I can live with that.
No, the other way would be nuts. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, that would be a bloody nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay. No, everybody is non-equivalent unless declared otherwise is.
Yeah. And with this premise,
okay,
we can actually agree on something because we had different premises here or assumptions.
Yeah. Let me propose something here as process dictator, because we've gotten muddied down a little bit. I would propose that while meta argumentation also fits into argumentation model, it's sort of advanced. It's argumentation model 2.0. So if we could move those down to handling a little bit afterwards, and just focus on basic argumentation as a first step, I think I would prefer that.
Yeah, stuff we agree on more because then it's quicker, and then we tackle the
So no arguments, only isolated claims.
No arguments on what?
Only isolated claims at first.
No, we already did. No, we have arguments.
An argument is a meta claim.
Okay. But
no relevance, postpone relevance, which is also a meta claim, second order already.
Oh, damn it, my headphones are out of batteries. Hold on, I have to get.
Yeah, I'll write that meanwhile.
Yeah, no worries. Maybe the causality in the claim misleads a bit. It's more like something, oh, the table is brown or the table is blue, and these are not equivalent.
Well, I keep arguing, and I agree. Of course, I agree with that. I keep arguing that the putting causality and epistemic relationship at the same level is a source of confusion. Like an argument can be either through a causal link or an epistemic link. Yeah, yes. I do think the non-equivalence having non-equivalence as a default is viable, but it's still interesting to know this has been supported as non-equivalence versus it's been simply posited as non-equivalence. There are different cases. But no, more to the point, when you say let's push meta claims down, what I'm saying is, well, I'm saying I have no clue what you're talking about up to a point, but because for me, an argument is a meta claim, relevance claims a meta claim. But I understand that this is kind of meta claim in a very explicit way, but not for me, an argument is a meta claim.
I mean, if we're saying everything is not equivalent by default by the absence of the edge,
Yeah.
and then only if you want to refer to it, then you can materialize that edge. Something like this makes maybe more sense.
I have no problem with that, but I'm saying there is a difference between materialized and non-materialized edges. It's not just the convenience of having to materialize it to use it as a node, as an edge endpoint. It's about saying this, somebody actually believes that versus nobody's bothered to check if they're equivalent or not. I think ignorance is an interesting status, but that's me. But it's true, where I do agree with you is that asserting equivalence without using it in an argument is not that useful of a move. It's useful for curation, but like most of the time it will be useful when used in a conversation. So maybe that is moot. I certainly don't hold very hard to the need to materialize it at first. I do think there's a difference between materialized and non-materialized, but we have to materialize it every time. I don't know.
Anyways, I think it's fine to postpone this one a bit.
No, I have no problem with postponing this one in
Yeah.
particular. I'm just saying, I don't think we have a hard and fast criterion. And when you says muddies water, it's like, because of course it muddies water because the water is muddy, because the whole distinction, I think, is a category mistake.
Well, the reason it muddies the water is because it's not clear the purpose why you would want to argue that. So
well,
I accept that I definitely accept that you need to be able to construct claims that refer to other claims. So yes, okay.
Cannot do arguments without that. Cannot do relevance without that.
Yeah. The problem is that the examples start to get towards, you know, and this is distinct. You actually came up with an example of using it to counter the relevance of something. Okay. And maybe we should use that as a more specific example for now. But for example, if we were to say these two claims are equivalent, the reason that people are going to say that is to restructure the argument. And that's process. That's where we get into process. And that's why I was hedging at that.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have, yeah, I understand the point. Equivalence is a more a curation. Do we have the equivalence?
I think it was very early.
Yeah. Two claims are equivalent in meaning. It was
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
By the way, we're at the hour.
I know we're at the hour. Let me see what's going on in my world. Do you guys have a hard stop?
No.
No, but like I have other things to do. But yeah.
Yeah, I same. I'd rather not drag this, but I don't have a hard stop.
Okay, we can stop now if you want. I was I'm hoping we could get the ball rolling a little more, but
I think we got started. It's not useless. Yeah, this is a good example of process also. But yeah. Okay, no, I get the point.
Yeah.
There's something curation and equivalence is curation is process distinction, and this is something I've been saying myself. Just to finish this a bit, distinction is more interesting because if you use distinction, you get to say, okay, how are they distinct? Why are they distinct? Why does this matter? And then it becomes more part of the argument. And I can even,
right.
yeah.
But only because argumentation mechanics are used on that one, not that the equivalence itself is part of the argument.
Yeah, but actually I can imagine an argument, sorry, but that's my, I do that a lot, but where we have two formulations of something which somebody claims is distinct, and I said, I'm not sure they're distinct. Do you? And uses that in an argument, right? We agree distinction can be used as an argument. And I'm saying, are you sure those are distinct? What's the difference? Can you point the difference out to me? And saying, you cannot explain the difference to me in a way that makes sense. So maybe they're not distinct. And if you're using that distinction as an argument.
But yeah, but what I want to point out here is that it's sort of the line to be drawn is
the domain line.
I want to deal right now with modeling argumentation designed to prove or disprove a claim, right? And all the structures that come up, and so things that are meant to improve that model, discussions meant to improve the model, are process or meta or whatever. When you gave the example of, oh no, those two things are different and therefore your point isn't valid, that's talking about debating the truth of that debate, right? And so I accepted it. Now, at first I said it doesn't add anything to the model, so we don't need it here as a case. And then Felix helped me understand that actually it's important because it's a claim about two other claims, and that is a structure we don't have yet. I agree with that. So I'm fine with all of that. But again, if it's about helping understand and find the truth of a claim, it's something that I want to deal with now. If it's not, it's something on the table.
And the example I just gave is that even an equivalence relation, which I agreed is mostly used for curation, can be used as part of an argument.
Right, but it comes under that claims referring to other claims.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing is we're taking the example of an assertion that two are equivalent. But I would say no. The modeling should be, it is a claim that asserts anything about two claims. These two claims are the smartest claims I've ever seen, or something, right? That is a claim about some claims.
Yes.
Right. And it doesn't it's not any different in this sense than they are equivalent or they are negations. You understand?
Oh.
It's not a structural.
Yes. Okay. I think it is structurally different, actually.
I think it's structurally different when we're going to do things about process, or
when
we're going to
I'm
do
saying
things that impact.
I'm making the specific point that it's specifically different in a way that matters to truth finding. Because, and yeah, there's a bit of scaffolding here. I can use difference as a relevance claim, right? And so I can use the negation of difference as the negation of a relevance claim. Say, no, this is not relevant to that. Like I'm saying, you cannot use
no, but you could do that about anything, right? This is the most important claim I've seen here. The negation of that is this is not the most important claim I've seen here, and therefore it undermines the way it was used in the argument. The negation of anything is going to have the opposite effect, whether it's equivalence or something else.
not sure I follow you, and I'm not sure, how, or more important, I'm not sure I follow how this is relevant to what I'm saying. And again,
the point that, yeah, the question is whether equivalent is an adjective with special powers in argumentation.
Exactly.
For the modeling, right?
Yes, correct. Which I think it is.
And I think it is for curation, but I don't think it is for argumentation.
And I'm making the opposite point. I think we're
we'll have to see examples. Yeah, we'll have to see examples to get down into it.
yes. I'm trying to give the example in abstract terms. I'll try to give a more concrete example. But I think I have given an example in abstract terms. In the sense that, yeah, it's truth relevant to say these, when you're using these two concepts, like A leads to B, C leads to D. If A and C are the same, then B and D would always happen at the same time. If they're not the same, they may happen independently. So the equivalence of A and B is relevant to can C and D happen independently.
I see that, yes. Question is if something this abstract.
I'm giving an abstract example because it's easier for me to come.
Right.
I'm sure there's real examples of that.
That is a logically sound construction. The question is whether we need to model,
and that's
as opposed to just people accepting or not accepting based on a sound argument. Right?
That is a valid question. That is a valid question. But I'm saying equivalence has impact. Now, whether we need to model that or whether we just do it as a relevance and have the fact that it's an equivalence be in the head of people rather than the model, that's a valid question. But I'm saying relevance has a truth impact, and asserting relevance has a truth impact.
Equality, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, asserting equivalence has a. Whether we want to model it, I agree, is an independent question. Okay, I think this is a good, we can close on this.
We can that's a good stopping point. All right. All right, guys. Then I will see you tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.